Okay, welcome back. This is lesson 2, evaluating algebraic expressions with absolute value. Please be sure you write today's date on your paper. All right, so the definition of absolute value. The absolute value of a number basically represents the distance that value is from 0. So if you think about all the numbers on a number line, the absolute value is the distance that number is from 0. So if I think about the number 3, how far away is 3 from 0? Basically what these absolute value bars are saying. Notice they are straight up and down bars. They're not like parentheses, but they kind of replicate parentheses because they go around numbers. So absolute value of 3, how far is 3 from 0? 3 units away. This is asking how far is negative 3 from 0? Well, if you count backwards, negative 3 from 0, it is also 3 units away. Now there may be a little bit of complications because I can put negatives both inside and outside of these absolute value bars. So basically it's saying what is the negative or opposite value of the absolute value of 3. So since I know the absolute value of 3 is 3, then it's saying, well, what's the opposite of that, right? Negatives are just like opposite. So what's the opposite of the absolute value of 3? The opposite is negative 3. And the same thing here, I could put negatives both inside and outside of absolute value. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. So basically this is saying, well, what is the opposite of that answer? And since that answer is 3, my answer to that will also be negative 3. Now there are 2 sets of calculator steps, and I will put a whole separate links of videos that just deal with calculator steps. So if you want to see it on a calculator live, I'm going to show you a video on that. But if you want to write down the steps, there are 2 different ways to find absolute value on a TI-84 calculator. The first one is to hit the math button. Then you're going to arrow over to num. And then it is the first choice, choice number 1. And it says abs. And then once you hit enter on that, you will get the absolute value bars with a box in the middle. So math, arrow over to num, is choice 1, abs, A-B-S. A shorter way of doing that is to use your alpha key, which is really nice. And you're going to hit alpha and then window, which is above it. So the green key, alpha, and then the button that says window, which is at the very tippy top of your calculator, the second one from the left. And again, it is choice 1. It will say abs, short for absolute value, and you just hit enter on that. I will show some examples with these in the next slide. So using a similar technique from yesterday, we're going to list each step separately. We're going to find the numerical value of each expression. Again, another word that really just means all of this is the word evaluate, which is find the value of it, right? It even has the kind of the word value in it. Evaluate, find the value of. So what is the value of this expression? Again, I'm going to read it as the absolute value of negative 5x plus 12 when x equals 5. Okay, so the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it while I'm replacing the variables. Again, any notes that I write may be helpful for you, so you may want to jot those down. So I'm going to start with the absolute value bars. And when I write them, I tend to write them a little bit bigger so they don't get lost or look like ones. I'm going to start writing negative 5. I get to my variable. I'm going to stop. I'm going to replace it with a 5, but because I'm multiplying here, I'm going to use parentheses to separate it. Now I'm going to continue on, plus 12, and I'm going to close my absolute values again. Notice I make the absolute value bars really big and kind of long so that they look a little bit different than the rest of the problem. Here we go. And now I'm going to do each step separately, starting with PEMDAS. Following PEMDAS, I'm going to do any kind of operations in parentheses first. Since there's nothing operation-wise in a parentheses, I'm going to continue. There's no exponents, but there is multiplying. So I'm going to do the multiplying first. This is the multiplying right here, negative 5 times 5, and I'm going to get negative 25. Again, the process of rewriting is really key. You're going to be using this process a lot, especially when we're solving equations. If you do a little bit of the problem, move on, recopy everything else, and continue on. So it's very helpful to get into the habit of that. Now, we're going to treat our absolute value bars like parentheses, and now that's all that's left. So I'm going to do this operation, which is negative 25 plus 12, and I'm going to get negative 13. And finally, I leave those absolute values for the very, very end. The absolute value of negative 13, how far away is negative 13 from 0? It's always going to be a positive value because I cannot be negative 5 miles from anything. I can only be 5 miles from something. So my answer is going to be choice 3, 13. Be sure you have all the work shown that I have shown on this page. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. Okay, so the second one, the value of this expression. So again, my first step is going to be to copy it down, and while I'm copying it, while I'm rewriting it, I'm going to be replacing with my values. So I have a negative sign, then I have a value sign, and then I have the letter A. Since there's no operation around the A, like multiplying or exponents, I'm just going to write the number 7, minus sign. The letter B is negative 3. So I'm going to put in a negative 3. Notice my negative and my minus look a little bit different, and in your calculator they look a little different also. And then I'm going to close my absolute value bars. Again, making sure they look really big. I'm going to do, again, since I have no exponents, I have dividing, I have no adding, but I do have a subtraction. I'm going to do the subtraction first. 7 minus negative 3. In my calculator, I'm going to get positive 10. I'm going to rewrite those absolute value bars and that negative sign in the front. The absolute value of 10, right? Notice we're always doing, after we do PEMDAS, then we finally do the absolute value. Sorry, my V looked all, looks like a U, but that's okay. The absolute value of 10 is 10, and then that negative sign is just going to sneak right in front. So my final answer is going to be negative 10. What is the opposite, right? We said this negative sign in the front is opposite. What's the opposite of the absolute value of 10? Well, 10 is the answer. The opposite of it is going to be negative 10. Again, make sure you have all of these notes copied, and I look forward to seeing you soon.